Welcome to the wonderful world of wellness with Dr. Andy Mencia. This medical program heard from 7 to 7:30 each Saturday right here on WSBR 740 AM is brought to you by the Adult and Geriatric Center under the medical direction of geriatrician Dr. Andy Mencia. Good morning, Dr. Mencia.
Good morning, Anita. It's a rough morning for you and me. You know, we've been together for some years now.
Many years. Many cherished years.
Yeah, and
you're a
we
mate
always
of mine
joke
in many
around
ways.
Bill. You know, we joke about Bill all the time, you and I. And we lost Bill.
Yes.
You know, let's be upfront to our audience. You know, we are honest. We don't lie to them. We lost Bill, so it's been hard. And, you know, I'm so happy you and I have been in touch with each other all along. And Ina will say, like, are you going to go by there? I said, no, I want to give her space. I need to give them time. These are two lovers that are saying goodbye to each other. And I think the last thing that they want is for somebody to come and interrupt this special moment. So then, you know, after the loss come the grievance. And when we lose somebody, sometimes, you know, it's very unfortunate that the kids have to bury their parents. And it's hard because we expect the opposite. And sometimes the parents have to bury the kids, and also it's very hard because, you know, they expect the opposite. And sometimes we have to bury our best friends, you know, but the most difficult loss is when you lose the person you love, that you have cherished, that you have confide in, that know your most intimate part, that know what you like, what you dislike, and you know what that person like and dislike. And it makes it the most difficult loss because, you know, even though your kids might be close to you, you won't confide everything on them. And even though you love your parents so much, there are certain things you might not discuss with your parents. But with your lover, you discuss everything, especially all the years you guys spent together.
Yes, 44 years. And it's interesting because I see everything in the house. You know, I see all the little things he did. And it's going to be an interesting journey.
Yes. I'm looking for something I sent to you.
I know what you said to me. You said how I should make him like a baby and touch his skin and put flowers. They wouldn't let me have flowers in ICU. I tried, but you did. But I started to take, even though he was in a semi-unconscious state, I took lotion and rubbed his feet and rubbed his hands. Mm-hmm. And of course, always talked to him, played music. You told me to do that too, and I had music from my iPhone. All the beautiful songs from the Carpenters when we were married. It was going to have to help me because I'm not going to be able to get a lot of this out.
And you know, I write a quote every day for my staff. You know that, out of my own inspiration. And when you send me when I open that email, because I don't look at my phone when I'm seeing patients, but when I take a break, when I go up and I have a break, I'm either studying for my next lecture or just go through my phone to make sure it doesn't pile up with email and text and what have you. So I saw your email at that point, and they already called me for 2 or 3 patients downstairs. And I paused. And Oscar, who knows, the moment they call me for the first patient, I run down because I don't like my patient waiting. And he saw there were more than one. There was 2 or 3 already in the room. He came up to see me. And I was writing this, and, you know, he come and he read it with me. And, I saw his eye with little tears. Say, I know this is your own inspiration. I say, yes. So the response I sent you, get some nice flowers. Let the aroma surround him. Play his favorite music.
Did all that.
Softly to make him smile, and touch him as if you are touching a newborn, so his spirit remembers the woman who loves him unconditionally. And that was out of my own inspiration.
Wow. And I did just what you said, and it was really very beautiful. But I want to make this something for the people who are listening, just not for me, because I'm sure a lot of people are out there suffering.
A lot of the things that we do for the people, we have to do it for us, Anita. We have to do it for us because, when people like you and me, what make us different or unique is that we are genuine. We are passionate about what you and I do, you as a gerontologist, me as a geriatrician. This is our passion. I got inspired to become a geriatrician. I was going to go into neurosurgery. I was accepting to neurosurgery. I got accepted to gastroenterology. It's a field that you can make a lot of money. And I say, my grandfather lived to 109. I want to be a geriatrician. I want to take care of the elderly and show them my love and my appreciation.
And you do that so much.
And I do it every day. I look forward to going to work. And sometimes, many times, either Ina or I, but I'm the first one there to open the office. And many times I'm the last one to leave, to leave the office. And I love what I do.
I know you do. That's what really makes you very, very special. And I guess the fortunate part is that, as I was sharing, that my memories are so good, but I'll bet there are a lot of people who didn't do the right things when they were married, and then they suffer and they wonder why they didn't. And so maybe that's what this radio show is that life is very precious, and if you truly love someone, you have to really give of yourself so that when an end is there are no regrets.
Absolutely. There are many people that love in a conditional way. I'll do this for you because you're going to do that for me. And the best love is the love that look at the river, where you throw all the good thing you want to do and just let it flow, let the river take it. And whatever come back to you is not because what you threw in that river, it's because God is sending to you some other way. And, it's hard to find people like that, and I was telling Ina yesterday, me and Ina were talking because she's going through so much stress at the office. And, she's such a hard worker. She's such a warrior. And I was telling Ina, that's why there's so many divorces in this world. Because knowing all the things that you are going through, knowing all the stuff that you are going through. So I have these two ladies hugging each other, and I have to hold my tears back, Richard.
Crazy.
Knowing all the things that Ina is going through, I say, I can see you going home and facing your husband or your boyfriend or your kids, and people won't understand the stress that you're going over right now. But I can see it because I told her you spend more time with me than by yourself at home. So I know you probably better than anybody at home. And, we should reflect on that when our loved one come home and, they have so much in their head, so much stress going on. And we are not compassionate about it. We want, well, what about me? Take care of me, do something for me. And sometimes we need to pull back and say, wait a second, let the stress, let this person, let me see what I can do to help you and forget about me. And Bill, that was Bill's life,
Yeah, I have to say that I had said before he got sick, I said, I have got to stop this doing everything for everybody, everywhere, and I'm going to try to get home for lunch to make Bill a nice lunch or to go out and have a nice lunch outside. And I'm going to make sure I get home by 5 o'clock and not stay out till 7 working. I'd already decided that. Isn't that interesting? Because I felt that I was cheating him in a way, that I knew he was getting older, and there were little things that I was noticing, and of course I didn't get a chance to do that. I mean, I'm not holding regrets, but
no.
But I'm just saying that I think people who love someone they really have to see what they can do to make that life better while they can, because after the person is gone, you don't want to have regrets.
Right. And, I tell you, the take-home message is not that you couldn't do it the way you wanted to, but that you recognize that this is important. And you have so many people that you touch every day through your magazine, through your radio show. And it's time for them to learn and for them to do what you couldn't do.
Thank you, because I had said that now the biggest thing, and you and I talked about it, I saw by being in a rehab center, in a hospital, the one thing that is lacking is advocacy. Advocacy for someone you love. If you have someone in a hospital or you have someone in a place where they are totally dependent on someone, they really are. They're like a baby that they can't do anything. You have to be there for them, or someone who you can trust has to be with them all the time. You can't allow them to be in bed if they can't take care of themselves without someone there.
Right.
I mean, the stories are, I'm not going to go through any of the stories, but I saw for the first time the whole healthcare situation, and you can't change it. It's not like you have someone like when you were growing up in Hawaii, you had a parent who had a grandparent. Someone was always there for them. That's not the way it is anymore. They're in a sterile condition, and you can't allow it. And I decided I was going to write something from now on in Boomer Times, how to be an advocate, how to understand what's going on and to watch and to know and to learn.
And you got to experience this being on the receiver end now, which is interesting because of our background, as gerontologists and geriatricians, with our background, when we sit there and we see what goes around us, when we are the patient and the family of a patient there, and then you have the home visit, Anita. There's no advocate.
I told you.
There is so much neglect in home visit. There's so much neglect. And I'm talking us as a society. And I was talking to a person who is very dear to me, and she does a lot of fundraiser. And, sometimes I think, let me pick on her brain so that I can create some kind of system, some system for these patients. And if we put our head together, we can include then the retirement community, the ALF, and the people living independently. And there's nothing, growing up in Hawaii, there's nothing that I cherish more than independent living. As a geriatrician, when I can keep those patients in their own environment, I don't care how demented they are. There are many things we can do for them so they don't hurt themselves, or they don't hurt the family, or don't damage their properties. There are so many good things we can do. Take the nuts out of the stove so they don't turn the stove on. And so many things we can do so they still have a stove at home. They still have a TV, even though they might not know how to turn it on anymore. But it's there for them. They still have their radio. They can turn on and listen to their favorite station. There's nothing like home.
I know. So what do we have? A whole it's like, remember we had the Peace Corps? Maybe we have a corps for people who are older. There, so many people I find are unhappy because they don't have anything worthwhile to do. They're retired. They live in a condo. They wait for lunch or for dinner. If they could just spend a little time with a neighbor who needs them. But I don't know where that comes from, Dr. Mencia. Is that bred? And before we do that, I really want everyone to know who you are.
No, don't stop now.
No,
It's called living in the it's called living in the developed country. When you live in a underdeveloped country, people 3 blocks away from your house. Somebody's sick, you see the neighbor running to you. Can I get something? You can have tuberculosis. They don't care. They will come over. Can I get you something? Can I bring you Tylenol? Can I make you a soup? And here, I remember one time in the apartment that I was living in New York when I was studying psychology, a guy died in one of the apartments. And the only reason they found out was because of the smell. They called the police. And the person that lived alone in his apartment, nobody knocked on the door. They didn't say, what happened to Mr. Smith? Why he's not coming out? They called the police because the smell was bothering them. So we live in a society that we lose the neighborhood, the meaning of neighborhood.
It's a very, very important thing you just said. In fact, I've been thinking now, because here I drove from my home. What if on the way I had an accident? Who's there? Who's going to call? Well, I guess maybe they'll figure out to call my son. But so I've said to myself, I'm going to go. I have a lot of female friends who live alone, smart business people, good people. I don't know if anyone calls them every day. And I think I have to, everyone thinks about an older person. No. Make sure someone calls an older person. But a person who's in their 50s, and maybe something happens to them at night, and there's nobody there.
Yes. Yesterday I was having, yesterday, it's funny we're talking about this, because yesterday I'm having a conversation with one of my employees that come from a foreign country. And she got her visa, and her first job landed in my company at AGI. Her very first job in this country. And she's a smart young girl, single. And yesterday she was saying, I have nobody here. And I have a bank account, and I'm putting my money away so I can help my parents, and I want to bring them over. And one day hopefully get married and buy a house and what have you. And she's telling me about her plans. But she's saying, if something happened to me, can I put you like my person responsible to make sure that whatever money I have go to my sister or my mother or, So we were talking, and I called my accountant. And he said, what are the steps to follow here? So he was saying, that she can put somebody and she can put up on debt, what to do. But then she goes, what about if I'm in an accident, I'm just in a coma? And I say, but then, somebody like Dr. Mencia, anybody can manage your finances, or you get somebody assigned by the government to do that for you. And there are so many people that leave the money, that their money floating like clouds all over, because the government don't know what to do with that money. They never made a plan, and that's the beauty of the lawyer that we have, Joe Carp.
Yeah, I know. Now this is really coming. Now that I have
and he can be part of our team.
Right, all the paperwork has been taken care of for all this. But I want to go back to what you were saying. Just think about though. And I have to go back to my friends. And I'm sure Ina's family or enough. If something happened to Ina, you could take over stuff. I hope she knows enough about you and your requirements and your family to be able to inform someone. But I have so many lady friends. And we're close. I know intimate things about them. If something happens to them, I don't know their family. I don't have a phone number. And I've said to them, even before this happened to Bill, listen, what would happen if they always say, oh, you're going to help me. How can I help you if you don't give me your phone number of a family member and tell me what where I could help you? And I think people listening to this show should find somebody who doesn't have someone, or if they do, how do you help them?
Right.
I mean,
look at Ina as an example. She's a single mom, and she works hard. She saves her money, right, Ina? She saves her money, and she works. She's a hard worker. She's a warrior. But so I was talking one day with Ina. Ina, you by yourself in this country. Your ex-husband is here. But if something happened to you, do you have plans?
Well, she has you to
And
help,
she
of
said,
course.
well, then my son will be, well, your son is a minor.
Right.
You have to say, well, I want my son after adulthood, if he's going to college. Because what about if he, God forbid, but just to use as an example, become a drug addict? Do you want him to have money to buy drugs? So, all of these things have to be in place so that your son can have the money for good things and for him to become, to continue to become the good person that you're working so hard at.
Well, she does.
Doing for him. So all of these things, you need to have advocates. You need to have somebody that say, this is my son and this is my money. This is what I work hard for. And this is what I want you to do with that money.
I was thinking about what you were just saying, and I know I'm a very honest person, and maybe I have to start a little society of, you tell me who you are, what you want, and I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to help. If anything happens, I'll be there to help. I mean, I don't know what's coming out of this, but maybe it's it's a big responsibility, but there are a lot of people who don't have anyone, and they don't know who to trust because so many people would maybe hurt them. But
there are people that one of the things that I do as a expert witness. Sometimes I work with elderly abuse and neglect, and there are many people that have nothing in place, and then they become mildly or moderate demented, and they go to a lawyer. I say, I need him to sign this paper and that paper, or for her to sign this paper and that paper. And suddenly they are in charge of the entire fortune this person has. And they go and do whatever they want with that fortune. There's a lot of those things going around. There's
the
a lot of
guardianship, they have found a lot of people who that's what they do. Their business is to be a guardian. And all of a sudden, it's not fair. Even if it's not money, let's just talk about taking care of them, making sure they're in a safe, protected area. So it's a big issue, Dr. Mencia. What do we do? You and I are passionate, but it's a very big issue.
Yeah, and I think it had to start from the government down. It had to start from people in the government, see what the real problem, are in our healthcare system. And the way we are managing the elderly,
Because here we are. I mean, people are 50, 60, 70, all of a sudden, that's what we have to do. Well, this has been an eye-opener for me a lot, and I have a few minutes left. And I do have to give Dr. Mencia's phone number.
No, it's not important.
No,
let's talk about us. Because, there's two types of depression.
Okay.
I want you to know this.
Right.
So there's hope. There's light at the end of that tunnel.
Right.
There's two types of depression. We have what we call the endogenous depression. This is the depression that we are chemically and genetically determined to have. So those people can be depressed from childhood, adolescent, or young adults, and they are depressed for the rest of their life. And then you have the exogenous, and among the exogenous depression, you have the reactive depression. And reactive depression means that, let's say we lost our job, and we are saddened, and we don't want to do the kind of thing we like to do because we lost our job, or we lost a loved one, and we feel sad and depressed. We'll get over those depression. So we all go through that grievance. And Bill is gone. Bill have left us, for a better life, and he left so many memory here. So
excuse me,
now,
we call it a new adventure. That's what I'm saying. He's on a new adventure.
He's on a new adventure. And, he touched so many lives and he did so many good things. So there's an emptiness on those of us that remain behind. Mm. And I never forget the day that you brought him to my office with shortness of breath. And I say, Bill, you just full of you know what? So we're going to help you move your bowel. And when you move your bowel, you're going to feel a lot better. And from that day forward, he always ate his prunes.
That's right. Yes, he did. And then hot coffee. That was another thing that I told him to do. You're right. That's a good example of a doctor who is so... you're traditional, but you're so smart, and you just saw it within 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You took care of it, and it could have been very bad for the other doctor who had been his primary care physician for so many years. And I will tell you, and before we close, that Bill went there for 20 some odd years, and when we called him, he didn't have privileges at Bethesda, but he was too busy to come and see him at all. And I want to take those kind of doctors and write letters to them and say, you're not a doctor. Maybe whatever you've been doing, here's a patient who you had for so long.
For so many years.
Oh, my goodness. And so you have to be very careful about the doctors you go to.
Yeah.
Make sure that they have a heart and that they really care, or don't go to them. And I know you know a lot of them.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why you are the way you are. Well, and I thank you. I won't be depressed. I'm going to do things. I'm going to start new ideas. I'm going to be sad.
You have to use all the stuff you have learned from this moment, and we have to remold it, restructure it, put it in a teaching format, so that then we can help hundreds of thousands of people out there that can benefit from your suffering.
Thank you. It's interesting. I was a little bit hesitant about coming in this morning because I do love you, and I was hoping that Ina was here, and I thought, I'm never going to make it. I'm going to break down, but I haven't because you all are so special. I've cried a lot throughout the last few days, but I don't have that terrible, terrible sadness here with you.
Oh, Anita,
it's really,
I love you.
Because I feel the love, I feel the care, and
I love you, and I care for you so much.
I know you do, and and we care for our audience, the people who stuck with us for so many years. And
I look forward on Saturday morning, get up early in the morning just to come here. I don't go out Friday night because I know I have my show every Saturday morning. I look forward to this.
Thank you. I feel the same way, and you're such a rare person to be like this.
I love you, Anita.
I know, and I love you too, and I hope that your patients now are listening, and so many I know tell me, but that anybody who really wants a real doctor needs to go to Dr. Mencia. And I am going to tell him that he doesn't want me to do it, but I have to do it. You just go to their website because it's agifl.com, agifl.com, and of course we have the Stonewater Med Spa, which is doing well? Always. That's a whole new wonderful thing that we're going to talk a lot more about. So I know that you have to go. Thanks for listening to The Wonderful World of Wellness with Dr. Andy Mencia. Be sure to tune in each Saturday morning from 7 to 7:30 right here on WSBR 740 AM.